What is up, guys? Welcome to already the third Next Level Esports Podcast, the number one podcast about esports coaching and team development to help you and your team reach that next level by getting the people side of esports right. Today, I have the pleasure to talk with Yorben Colle, where we will talk about his story as a starting esports coach and what kind of things you run into as a starting esports coach, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, how are you doing today, dude?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me as well.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm very curious because on the Next Level Esports channel, we have a lot of different esports coaches, super experienced one from the LEC, like the top world level, as well as starting esports coaches or players that are transitioning towards an esports coach. So, in order to, let's say, get the most value from this podcast series and everything that Next Level Esports has to offer, I believe you have a lot of knowledge as well to share with other starting esports coaches and perhaps even experienced esports coaches. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So just to start things off, Yorben, how did you get into esports coaching? And introduce yourself first, of course.
Yes, I'm Yorben Colle, and I'm a 17-year-old League of Legends esports coach. Currently, I'm not in a team or working with a team, but I'm also doing one-on-one coaching sessions, like individual coaching for players,
Okay.
and that's what I'm doing at the moment. But I'm still looking for a team, of course, or
All right. So
organization.
anyone who's listening and wants an enthusiastic and very eager to learn coach, then you can contact him for sure. So what previous teams and what kind of projects did you start with coaching? Did you start with one-on-one or did you start off with a team?
Well, I started off with one-on-one coachings in particular, but after I think 1 or 2 months, I got picked up by Ice Guardian Esports. That was my first ever team I coached. I was with them for one split of Open Tour Benelux, and then I was teamless, and then I was doing some tryouts with other teams. I don't know if I can or may mention them. And then also did this scouting grounds thingy where there were four coaches and they can choose their players in their team, and they kind of play against each other just for promotion, just to give a clear view for the players and also for organizations and team to pick up new players or coaches or staff, whatever.
Right. Right. So when you started off with coaching, what were, let's say, the first things that you felt like, oh, I wanted to become a coach? Because now you, let's say, identify yourself as a coach. I'm a League of Legends coach, but where do you start as transitioning? Because first you are a player, you're enthusiastic about the game, you're playing, and then how does it work, or how did it work for you?
Well, first of all, it didn't really start out with League of Legends. I was first really into this game, Counter Strike Global Offensive, CSGO, as many may know it. And I was
Yeah.
really into the esports scene of that one. And I was so curious of how you would become a player and how to become a coach. So I was constantly looking for ways to improve there. But I was also playing League of Legends at the time. And then the esports scene from League of Legends took my interest more than the CSGO esports scene. And the fun thing about League of Legends is that the esports scene here in the Benelux is way bigger than the esports scene in Benelux from CS:GO. And I also had a more
Right.
familiar feeling with it because it was also in our own language in Dutch, and I had a more comfortable feeling working within the esports scene here. And I always was looking to be this person to look up to and to help people improve. And I was always doing this with friends, even in CS:GO as well as in League of Legends. I was basically coaching from whenever I knew what I was doing, and I was just helping out my friends. I preferred even watching their games and telling them what to do and how to improve than playing myself. I think that was the trigger to finally do something within coaching.
Right. So where did it come from? Because also with our last guest, Ursula Klimchak, the performance coach, she also, let's say, had a personal story about from a young age, she wanted to, let's say, or she saw different types of personalities and behaviors, and she could kind of predict how people would behave. And I correlate with that as well. So you also have, let's say, Also, I feel like a personal story on that end. Like, why do you want to help people develop? It has to be something that you have to do with your personality, that you want to help people, right? So where did it start from you, trying to develop people, wanting to help in order for others to reach their goals and ambitions?
Well, honestly, it's not that fancy of a story, but I work at a pharmacy, and that's also what I'm studying right now. I'm doing pharmaceutical
Mm.
assistancy, and it's helping people. And all of my life, I've been helping people whenever I could. I was always this person to put other people in the first place, and then put me besides it. I've I've always been helping people, and I'm working towards helping people the best and how they want it, of course. I really want people to improve at League of Legends, so I coach them.
Yeah, for sure. And how was your first experience as an esports coach within League of Legends? How did you, let's say, get along with it? How did you, let's say, what were the first things that you did as an esports coach? Of course, you did the one on one, but did you have a plan? Did you started off with, oh, this is my framework as a coach, this is my coach philosophy? Because often people think like when they see these experienced coaches, they always have something to say about the philosophy and framework or a step-by-step thing and how they behave. But as a starting off coach, I believe that is different. How was it for you to start
I'm
off
gonna
really
be very
coaching?
honest. I had no plan. I had no clue what I was getting into, and I was literally the theoretical coach. I was just giving my knowledge to the players, and that was everything I was doing. I didn't have any philosophy or any technique or strategy to approach players. I was literally just giving them the information. I was kind of like a robot. You would look up on Google how to do this and this, and I would tell you how to do this and that. And that was how I was getting into it. But then I encountered some really good videos. Also, Next Level Esports, really good for the people side of esports, really good for
Mm,
starting coaches. I would recommend watching videos as a starting coach
for
from you.
sure. Always watch it.
Definitely. And I was getting more into the people side of coaching because that's really important. It's really underestimated how important it is as a coach to also think about that you're helping people. You're not helping robots. It's not the same giving the information and they will do it. You have to be really what's it called again? Patient. You have to be really patient, and you have to motivate the players. You can't just be a robot and give them the information, as I said. And that was what I was doing in the start, and I'm really happy that I improved on that surface.
Yeah, because I really understand what you're saying. I see a lot of esports coaches thinking, or at least they don't say or they don't believe that they're working like as if the players were robots. But when you hear them talk, like, oh, you this wrong, you need to improve by doing this and this and this, or you shouldn't have step left, but you should have step right. Like all these directions and all these instant solutions towards something, as if it's like improving a code into a computer. Like, oh, if I just like change the code, then it will always be right. And then eventually they're getting frustrated because they're not still not playing the way the coach want to play it, and everything goes to shambles basically. And then the whole team is frustrated because they forget this huge big aspect, and that is they are people. They are human beings that make mistakes and they need time to develop and to adjust itself, and they are not robots that once you say, oh, you do this wrong, that it will, and
Mm.
you give them a solution that it will go right. So when did you start to see that in your coaching? Was it from the first coaching session, or did you need to have a little bit of experience to see like, oh, there's more to coaching than only, oh, mistakes and pointing out mistakes and bringing solutions?
Well, I had two persons that I was coaching for. I think I was coaching them both for like a month. And after the second person, I felt that I was doing something wrong because he just wasn't improving. And whenever I talked to him, he was saying sorry and he was apologizing for not winning or not doing the right things. And I felt really bad. And I really thought that I was doing something wrong, which I was doing. I was doing something severely wrong. So I
Hmm.
had to undertake something to improve on that surface. And that's what I did because it felt really wrong to just say do this and do that, and then I was quiet for like 2 minutes. That's not how you should approach things. You should be really careful with people, actually. And from when a player says sorry or apologizes for something, I always have this feeling that, oh, I'm being rough on this guy, and I want to take things different and be the nice guy, because then you're basically becoming the bad guy. You're basically becoming the enemy, say flaming you, being toxic to you, actually. So it's having a reverse work here.
Yeah, for sure. So you just talked a little bit like, oh, I did a lot of things wrong. What things did you did wrong, and what things did you implement for yourself, or did you get a hang of for yourself? Did you felt like, oh, I need to change this? What are the specifics of that, so other people in the audience that are listening to it can relate to as well, and you feel like, oh yeah, he's right. Oh yeah, this is something I need to look into.
Well, I started with a more familiar approach. I wouldn't be this formal guy coming into your Discord call and being like, "Hello, how are you doing?" and then instantly starting it. I want to have a little conversation with the players first, get to know them, build up a real bonding with them, and kind of become friends. Because you trust a friend more than some random guy on the internet trying to improve you in a game, trying to make you get better in a game. So I'm building up this bond with the players, and then you earn their trust. It's not all about being knowledgeable about a game. It's about understanding how people work as well, and you have to work on those things as well. You really have to understand how to teach people. You can you can be knowledgeable about a game and try to teach people, but you're just saying words then, if you know what I mean, of course, because you're just
Yeah.
literally saying what has to happen, and if it doesn't happen, it's still a problem. You're not helping them. You have to approach them mentally as well and keep them motivated, because if you keep nagging at them, they're gonna get dismotivated, and you want them to stay motivated to improve, of course. And I think that's what I was improving on the most, keeping players motivated, building up that bond, as I said, and becoming friends with them and earning their trust. Because otherwise, you're not gonna teach them something, but you're gonna make them feel bad, and you're gonna uh, you're gonna make their mental bad.
Yeah, for sure. So just like a brief summary, what you're saying is like step one, don't just drop in a formal atmosphere, get to know the player, then sort of become friends. And what I always say, like some people feel like, oh, when you become friends, you're too close to them in order to coach them. It really depends also on the person. I believe being invested into the person being so close is better than just being interested because it's so distant. Right. So I like the investment part, and therefore you can build that trust. And what I also really like is what you said is, yeah, I'm not only, let's say, firing of words and they are need to connect with the words, or like only the message that I'm saying. You need to connect with the person in order to get that true message across, because you need to keep in check the mental as well, to feel their, let's say, the mental being. Are they motivated? Let's say that, or it's also a bit of, let's say, emotional intelligence or Fingerspitzgefühl as well, of really getting to know them and feel what drives them and what hits home with them or not. So that is really what I love about that. So let's say the step by step process of what you just explained. So when you let's say apply this towards your next let's say coaching sessions, how did that change for you by engaging with this approach? What did you feel that was changing, or what was opening up for you?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I was having way more fun myself. And that's also something important, because if you're not having fun yourself, you're not going to enjoy your job, and you're going to decrease the efficiency of your job as a coach. And I was having more fun, and I was seeing the players I was coaching improve as well. And that's the most satisfying feeling ever as a coach. I had this guy, I don't know if you're familiar with the League of Legends ranks.
Hmm? Yes.
So basically, this guy was gold 3 at the time, and he climbed all the way up to diamond 2 when we started my coaching. So I was really satisfied as a coach, and I was in one
Yeah, for
season.
sure.
So that was, yeah, it was a really nice feeling, and I felt that I was improving as a coach, and I was also really satisfying. So it was just the whole journey being really satisfying in my own eyes, and also people getting really happy because they're climbing and they trust me more as a coach because the results are there. So that's the
Yeah,
most thing.
but what I hear is you find your own way basically in
Yep.
coaching, because what you said before, like with your step by step process and that you're invested, I can imagine that there also are some esports coaches listening that are pretty successful that has a total opposite way, more formal or more direct, because that is basically the image or more correlates with their personality as well. But you find your own way to get success and have fun by yourself, and let's say translate that success or that way onto the players so they can increase. And therefore you had that success experience that they increase a couple of ranks and within one season, so that is a huge effort as well. And how did it, what did it do with yourself as a coach while you have that once that success as a starting esports coach? Then you must feel like I'm doing something right. Do you feel confident as well? How was that feeling when you get to that stage that you can have that impact on people?
Well, as you said, it feels really confident. You um you get confident, you get satisfied, and you get more motivated because you know you're doing it right on your own way, and you can implement that way onto your next coaching session. So you want to keep trying it out and see if it's really that, or it's just the persons you're coaching that just take it right, that take that way right, and improve on that way. Because there are some people that you have to approach differently. Of course, not everyone is the same. Everyone needs a different approach as well. But that's the approach I get the most success with. There's also sometimes, I've only had it once actually, that I really had to turn into a robot and he only wanted to hear what he had to do and he would do it. It was mechanically really good and he actually listened to everything I said, so he didn't really want that really close feeling. He just wanted to improve in the game. That's it, point.
Yeah, and how do I believe that is a big point in coaching as well. Like you touched upon, like, oh, they're different persons and people, players learn in a different way, and sometimes I have to be, let's say, the strict person, but more so I want to stay with it my own, let's say, confident zone. So how do you recognize different personalities and players, and how did you learn to, let's say, work with many of those? Maybe not all, but let's say many of those.
Well, I don't really have a clear answer for that, but you mostly feel it in the first approach. In the first Discord call you join, and you can already tell if they're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" or if they're more like, "Hey, what's up? Are you ready?" Then you know it's more of a chill person or it's more of a hyperactive person. So you can you can base it off of that, but also when you get in game, the first couple of minutes, if they're talking, they're more of a chill person. If they're really try hard, really looking at everything, you know that they're really serious and that you really have to uh, take care of what you say.
So what you're saying is I really, let's say, follow the first impression. If one is
Yep.
like low energy, high energy, and once you have someone with high energy, what happens then? What do you think is the right way? How do you handle such situation?
Well, I don't want them to get overhyped, but if they do something really good, I will hype them up because it improves your mental, it improves your performance. It kind of boosts you a little if you hype them up a little more. But I'm not gonna be like hyperactive or something. You gotta respect that, otherwise they're just gonna flip out or gonna they're not gonna be giving a lot of attention to the game anymore. And then as you said, you become like friends or something. That's also really dangerous. Like actually becoming friends, because I find it hard now to coach my friends because it's more like memeing around than actually coaching them, giving the right tips, giving the right advice. So it's always a little dangerous to be as active with like the hyperactive people, but you just have to
Mm.
know your boundaries, where to stop or where to, especially for low energy people. Well, low energy, I'm saying this like they're in some kind of squares, like the low energy, the high energy, but even the
Yeah, but
low
I think
energies.
the people that are listening know what you're talking about,
Yeah. So
right? It
let's say
makes
the
it
low
easier to talk
energies.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's say the low energies, you have to hype them up as well. You can't just be sitting there like, yeah, you have to do this, you have to do that. You go to this afterwards. No, yeah, you have to hype them up a little. You have to be like in a higher sphere. You have to be, yeah. After that, you can do this and that. You have to keep motivated. I think intonation is also really important in coaching because if you're gonna say, yeah, that was really bad, or if you say, yeah, you could have done that better, and this is how you could have done it better, that's a whole difference. That makes the difference in their mental as well. I think the most
For sure.
important thing for both parties is to keep them motivated. And I think motivation is the key to the top in everything.
All right. So explain a little bit more how you view that in terms of motivation. What is
Well,
motivation for you, let's say, maybe as a basic concept, and how can it carry you towards the top?
well, if you stay motivated and you keep, as a player, I would say this: if you're motivated, you can keep playing. You will grind to the top. But as a coach, to keep your motivation up, you have to stay within the scene and you have to be busy with coaching because otherwise you're going to be like, oh, I can miss out on this session. I can move this one. And then you're just going to quit coaching and you're going to, yeah, actually quit coaching. If you don't keep doing your coaching, you're not feeling like it or something. That's when you know you're dismotivated and you don't like it as much anymore. I still have this strive to keep coaching every single day, and that's how I keep myself motivated. Also, yeah, as I said, the players improving. That's my number one motivation. That's when I know I'm doing it right. And when you know you're doing it right and you get that self confidence, also really big motivation.
All right. I thought that you were talking about motivation about players, but in fact, you were talking about having motivation yourself as a coach to always engage with the players and to keep on going.
Well, as for players, keeping them motivated is probably being, for me, it has worked out being a nice person overall. Because no one wants to work together with a coach that's like a scumbag. I'm just gonna say it, like being a little dipshit. That's not gonna work out. That's not getting them motivated. And winning is also a big motivation for the players as well. So you have to do your coaching job right. Just giving the right information. Obviously, information about the game, being very knowledgeable about it, is also a really big factor in League of Legends since it's really a high IQ capped game.
Hmm.
So I think results are also really motivating for the players. So you have to be good as a person, but you also have to be really good as the computer, I would say. You have the computer and you have the soul. And you have to keep a good connection between those two, and that makes a really good coach, I think.
Right. So more like the technical aspects and also being a people's person to know what makes them tick, what motivates them, to get them in the right, let's say, mood for the coaching or like the
Mm,
game, etc. Overall.
yep. Well, I also have something else, and that's the organization or the team they're playing in. That's something
Okay,
really
go.
important as well. So if you have a really good coach and a really good team working for some, I'm just gonna go ahead and say like a small, not as serious or professional team, it's gonna dismotivate them as well because you will have the feeling that you're in a really good team, but nothing in the org gets done, or you're staying there with bad communication within the organization. You're gonna feel like you're underappreciated, and you have to get that appreciated feeling to keep that motivation up, that you're feeling like you're doing something right for the right purposes. And I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, so it's more. How do you feel like organizations can support you with that? What is then some things that you need?
Well, I'm not the best on that side. That's not really my thing. But I think having really good communication between like manager, coach, team captain, whatever, like just the communication is one big step. And also, if you have the feeling, I don't know how to describe it, but if you have the
Hmm.
feeling that you're in a professional organization, I think that does boost your confidence and keeps you motivated. Because if you're like, if you're now in a Benelux scene and next year you're playing for G2, you will probably be like, whoa, I have to perform really good now. and I have this really good team. I have this really high end coach. I have this really good org that keeps me motivated, that does team training, that does everything. I think that's the best motivation a player can get.
Right. So what you're saying is a lot of motivation also comes from the environment and, let's say,
Yeah,
the brand in itself. So the organization, what is the history of it? And how do they, let's say, interact with players? What is their status? What is their, let's say, branding? Is it more like a meme-ish, or is it professional? Is it clean? Is it more brotherly? Like, you
yeah,
have all these different types of organizations that each, well, stand out from the others, right? They have to, because everything else will be very much the same. And yeah, I believe that also attracts a specific type of players. Like, I'm also, let's say, active in the Benelux scene, so I know some organizations that are more meme-ish and they attract like really good players, but more not serious. But they know, when I see those players in those teams, I know they will perform well because they are basically are let free to behave how they want to be, mimish, a bit trollish. But because they can do that, they feel confident because they feel one. But if you will put them in a very, let's say, formal organization, they won't perform that much because they feel like constrained of the environment, maybe the coaching staff or the other players that are involved.
yeah. I definitely agree on that one. You have to go to an organization where you feel that the personality you have and the personality, well, more the traits that the organization have that are fitting. That will probably be the best because you don't want to go. Let's say I'm the most formal person ever and I'm going to some meme team that's really open, just really familiar, and I just want to keep things professional. That's gonna get me dismotivated because they're like memeing around and I want to be the serious guy. I want to go to the world championship later on, but it's just not working out in that case. And I'm not saying that I'm the formal guy because I'm gonna be honest, I'm more of a familiar guy, just trying to relax a little, just being a little chill. I'm not gonna be the serious guy sitting there with my just writing everything down. That's not my type of behavior.
Yeah. So you just touched upon like all the some of the big goals. So what are your ambitions, Yorman?
Well, my ambitions now are just getting into Belgian league one day, hopefully, or the Dutch league. I don't have a preference
Hmm.
on between those two. So that's more of an amateur side. But of course, that's a dream of every coach, I think, and it's going to the World Championship one day. But that's maybe a little bit high up. But I would be really happy to go, like, I don't know, maybe. I really don't have any clue for those. I anything really. If I'm happy doing my job, I'm already sold. I think.
All right, cool. So let's say, just assume like you have the right intentions and you want to go to the Dutch league and Belgian league, or also for other coaches that are listening right now, they have the ambition to, let's say, coach their ERL, their division league, or if you're in another game like your national teams, etc. If you're starting off as a coach, more amateur scene, a couple of divisions lower than the national or international brackets, then what do you think, Jorman, is the way to go? What steps do you need to undertake to get there? Is there something you feel like you have to improve yet? Some things that you have to check off in order to reach that level? Or do you feel like, oh, it's just a matter of time. If I continue like this, I will get there? Or is there still a gap to be bridged?
Well, I have done a tryout with an ERL team for the Dutch league, and I think I've done it really well in there. Well, really well. I've done it good. I'm not gonna say that I smurfed it or
You
something
can
like
say,
that.
you can
I
say, you can
I
say.
I think I performed okay there. So I think I would be ready for an ERL league with a little bit of improving, with just improving a little bit more. I would be ready for an ERL league, but I would never be ready for going LEC right now. That would be way too high up, of course. But like,
Hmm.
let's say Open Tour Benelux should be a really realistic destination for me right now. But
Yeah,
maybe even
that
an
is the
ERL league.
second tier
Yep,
before the
yep,
highest national tier. Yeah.
yep. And I think I could be ready for an ERL league. So that's
Okay.
kind of where I think I could go now. But At the moment,
Okay.
still looking for teams. If you're watching, free agent.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah,
promote
for sure.
myself
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah. Shameless promotion. Yeah, no problem.
Of
All right.
course.
So you just said like, oh yeah, maybe a little bit more improvement. Where is that improvement? Because there are many coaches that feel like, yeah, I'm ready for that because they feel confident in itself. But what is the difference between the coaches that are in the Dutch league and Benelux league and between you or similar coaches that are not there yet, but they feel confident that they are there? What do you need to get there?
Well, that's a really hard question, actually. And I'm gonna say the word I've mentioned 200 times in this podcast already, but
Hmm.
motivation as first, the will to improve, and being passionate about your job. Um, I think those are the best. Because also age, maybe. One thing that's really good about me is that I'm still really young. I really have a lot of time to still improve, and I think I started coaching at a really young
How
age,
young are you,
17
Yorben?
years old,
17.
or
Wow.
17 years young. So I think there's still a lot of time to improve for me because I don't think as a 17-year-old coach that you're being taken serious at this point. I think people think that I'm some kind of meme coach or something. That has happened to me before. That cleared up really quick. I even had some one guy in my DMs literally saying, "Yeah, you're really passionate, and I see that about you, and you're giving me the inspiration, and you inspired me, and that was the best feeling ever." So I really thought I was
Right.
doing a good job, and I was really flattered because of that one. And I think that's also something because the guy was also, I think he was 22 and was like, "Yo, you're 17. You're still in high school. How can you be this knowledgeable about the game and about people on the other side?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just did my research. I was very motivated about it."
What are some next steps?
Well, some next steps are probably still doing the one-on-one sessions, one-on-one coaching individually, until I finally get to do some more tryouts with some teams because now we're obviously in the middle of the season. There's no
Hmm.
one to try out for. Besides if someone gets sick or something and they're looking for a replacement as a coach, but I think that doesn't really happen quite often. So it's just maintaining my coaching sessions at the moment and keeping my motivation up for next season, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. What do you feel or think about, let's say, visibility? Because I believe, even though if you are a coach, just like starting off or your experienced coach, you have to showcase yourself or your name somewhere. It's not only about, let's say, the Leaguepedia pages that the people are searching for in order to find coaches, right? So what is, let's say, your strategy to get known? Because you're saying I'm doing one-on-one coaching and I'm doing tryouts. Have you ever considered about, let's say, showcasing something, doing maybe reviews or Twitch, or what are your thoughts and opinions about that to showcase who you are so more people know about you?
Well, so first of all, I've also costed a couple of games for Team 7M, which I have hanging
Yeah.
here on the drawing. I've costed some Open Tour Benelux games for them. Um, that was one way of getting my visibility up, of course. And I've also done some VOD reviews together with a German coach. I forgot his name totally. In a Discord, in a German Discord, but it was all in English, of
Hmm.
course. I got a quite good following off of that as well. But I don't really do anything to up my visibility, which I definitely should. I was also looking to get back into streaming just for getting like a little following, just getting some followers maybe. But I
Hmm.
also enjoy streaming because you can do some live streaming of coaching, some VOD reviews. Really interesting, and also gets that viewer category of coaches. You get a lot of
Exactly.
people in the same in the same job, like in the same category as you, and you can work together with them. You can discuss some things with them. So that's something really useful to do, I think, as a coach. Just being open with your work, and you can get other people's perspective about certain things. That's really amenable as a coach, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like many coaches don't really want to share what they're cooking up in their kitchen because they feel like, oh, it's so special or it's so good that I keep it for myself or in a one-on-one or individual sessions, or yeah, you have to sign me in order to get to me. And I feel like, okay, well, that is a strategy, but if you are open about it and people like it, it's perhaps a better gives you better feedback from the community if it's either good or bad or things can be improved, etc. And it also showcases your skill and that you're serious about it and that you're passionate about it. Because sometimes I see some coaches or that want to coach, but I get the feeling like, yeah, they want to be a coach just to be a coach, and I don't know how to, let's say, relate to them, how serious they are because they have coach in a name or they are there for the tryouts. So I think by doing a little bit of, let's say, branding yourself in, even though that is once a month or like one day, you do 5 coaching sessions in a row that people can apply to just for free. And if you would do that, let's say every 2 weeks or once every month or just something, even though only a couple, you have something to showcase for. Like if you are in that process of doing the tryouts as a coach by a team or organization, you can also link them towards like, oh, this is what I did. Like if you want more information, watch this clip or go like that. So they see you from different perspectives as well. I think that could be also a good tip for starting coaches that are really passionate, like you, like yourself, that really want to get somewhere.
Yeah, I agree on that one. It's definitely a good idea to do those showcases, and uh, well, yeah, it's as you said, it's really good actually to also get that contact with organizations, so you have something to show them to be able to get picked up easier. Yeah, I agree on that one actually. Yeah, I haven't really looked at it that way, to be fair.
Yeah, because I'm looking at like how do designers do it? Like, oh, I am a designer,
Oh
like, or
yeah,
graphic design is my
yeah,
passion. Like, how do you showcase that? Only to show your work. And I believe really coaching is an art. Like really on a deep level, because you have to work with so many personalities, different types of situation. No game is the same again. You can rely on your systems, but it always changes, no matter the players, the team, the organization, all the things that we just talked about. And you have to build up a portfolio of something. Like, what are you known for? Like, some coaches are really known for the strategical insight. Some coaches are really known for their human, let's say, feeling, like to connect with people and to solve problems through the human side. And others are really, let's say, technical about, let's say, mechanics or different strategies. And what are you, or what do you want to be known for? So if you can make a portfolio, and it doesn't have to be like super much, but if you have something to show for it, I believe that makes you stand out, at least from 80% of the other coaches that doesn't do it.
exactly. Yeah, that's really smart. I think not
Well,
a lot of
thank you.
people in I think not a lot of people in the Benelux have actually done something in that category. Maybe I don't think I've ever seen it, but that would be a really good way to expose yourself, right?
Yeah, I believe, let's say you're 17, and if I believe you're young, especially as a coach. If you're 17, like, that's ridiculously young. But even, let's say, 20 and below, like, even though you have some coaching experience and you want to break through and you're very serious about it, like, it just like if you have an insane product, I don't know, just like a hologram watch or whatever. Like, if you have the best tech ever, but no one knows that you have it, like, how can you sell it, or how can you help the world? You have to, let's say, sell yourself in a way. And I believe there's so much opportunity in esports, and especially we're still in the era that if you're just motivated what you're saying and get yourself out there, just get some eyeballs on you, you have a good chance to go places
Yep.
with networking as well. And we all know that, like, oh, it's not about what you know but who you know, but also how people know you. And I believe that is a very very important thing. And yeah, I would suggest just make a couple of pieces of content, even though it's like 10 videos, like what do I want to be known for as a coach, and then make 10 videos about that. Or maybe I want to be known for my strategical aspects, then just make a coaching video of one or two, or that you are doing a coaching thing about the strategical side, and then just like expand, like this is what I want to be known for, so you can always link it to the teams, and it makes you stand out. That's what I believe. And if you come in, because sometimes you don't have the time, in how do you say that, in a tryout, to go that deep in a strategical level. But if you have something to show for, then the organization knows, like, oh, this was maybe a bad scrim, but he knows all of this, so I have the confidence that he is serious and passionate enough that he can take and can link all this information as well. For sure. So to move on with a follow up question. So what do you think is the biggest weakness as a starting coach? What are the pitfalls of a starting coach?
Well, in my experience, I'm gonna say also my age, because I'm not really. If I mention my age, they're always like, "Ah, that's kind of young," and they have the feeling that I'm not being serious about it, but or that I'm immature. But mostly that disappears after a few minutes already, because I'm a pretty immature talker, I would say, and I
Hmm.
take it really serious, and I let them know. But I'm not saying like, yeah, I'm taking this serious, but I'm sure that I'm making them know by the ways I'm saying things or explaining things or handling things. And I'm not gonna be a little kid because I'm only 17. And I'm not pulling the underage card and saying, "But I'm still a kid. You can make me do this." I'm just gonna handle
Yeah.
things like an adult and gonna be really mature about them. And also something that I have seen as a starting coach, and it is being a no-namer. If you don't have the right friends, I would say, because I can be really happy that I'm close friends with 7 a.m. They gave me the
Hmm.
opportunity to cast Open to the Benelux a few times, and it gave me a lot of following and a lot of people I got to know because of that one. Also, the scouting grounds got a lot of friends because of that, and a lot of people I can talk to regarding coaching or just the esports scene. So I think that's the first thing that I was feeling unconfident about, and it was my age and the people I knew. Because I was at the start, I was a no-namer. Literally nobody knew me, and now I think a few people know me. So I'm pretty happy about that one, actually.
Yeah. Networking.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Didn't quite get on my mind, but
Yeah,
networking
yeah,
indeed.
yeah. Networking for sure. I think that's a huge thing. And if anyway, a huge thing to break through. Let's say the ranks, or to stand out. Just
Yeah.
a little bit on addition what we talked a bit sooner, a couple of minutes before. So, is there something that you would like to share with also similar starting esports coaches? What is a one thing, your golden nugget, if you want to tell others, if they are starting listening to this podcast and listening to your passionate, ambitious stories? What kind of golden nugget do you want to give them?
Well, if you start and you're making the start and you're sure that you're making the start, don't give up. Just keep going. Even if it's looking bad, things will clear up eventually. And just stay motivated. If you're not motivated, you won't get anywhere. And it's a lot of time that you're wasting, I would say, in the beginning. But then once you get that confidence and you start enjoying it, keep doing it, keep grinding, I would say. And take every job you can take, like casting the Open to the Benelux. It also gives you experience and lets you get to know new people. Just take all the chances you're getting. Take everything with both hands and clamp onto it.
Yeah.
And well, now also the networking, I would say. It's something that really has a big role here in the Benelux, and that's the networking. Knowing the right people, knowing the right organizations, and just get to know each other in the scene. Just don't be like, yeah, I'm this coach. Just go into some chats of the Dutch league. Just have a good time as well. Just make some friends in there. Just be nice to everybody, and you'll be fine. And Especially look at Next Level Esports videos if you want to know the people side of coaching. And that was done a promotion again.
Let's
No,
go.
those are the best tips I can give, I think. And I wouldn't say look for this person to look up to and copy his style, because you have to make your own style. If you're copying that person, you they can better hire that person than you, right? Because you're simply copying them. You can take some aspects from some people and put them into your own kit and build your own way of coaching and philosophy, but you can't copy someone entirely, because I think the main problem with me was that I idolized LS, the League of Legends coach, in the beginning, and
Mhm.
that was probably the worst thing I could do, since he's basically the theoretical coach, like 100% theory and zero people sided. And I took a lot of his theoretical things into my own kit, but not how he treats the people, I would say. Not
And who you're talking about?
LS, that's the coach.
LS.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nicolas de Cesar, I think he's called.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Lost Shadow.
yeah, yeah, Last Shadow indeed. So just
Yeah.
go ahead and make your own style, and it will fit you once, and then you have to keep that style and keep going, and don't give up. That's the most important part. I can't even say how hard I mean this, but don't give up. Stay motivated. Chase your dream.
That wasn't one nugget, Yorben. There were like four or five nuggets. Like
That was a
it's
bucket of
great. I
nuggets.
love it. Yeah, a bucket of nuggets. Yeah, not from the KFC, but from Yorben. Yeah, yeah,
Sad.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think a
Yeah,
lot
they're
of people
worth
would
more
prefer the KFC.
than a bucket of nuggets. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, very, very, very good stuff, and I 100% agree with that. So yeah, lovely hearing those nuggets from you, and you can tell that you're passionate about it, and the way you're describing things, and the way you are moving forward and considering things and keeping it real and also casual at the same time. That you don't have to be someone else that you feel like you must be, but just be yourself, be comfortable where you are, be at home, basically, and that is where you will be most effective. So that is how I, let's say, translate your whole story, and I cannot agree more. So beautiful. So Jorben, there's also a question from the latest podcast of Ursula Klimchak, the performance coach of now Counter Logic Gaming (CLG). And she asked a question specifically for you because I said, "Oh, we're talking to Zonic from the Benelux scene, and a very passionate guy, and he is a starting coach. So, what question do you have for him?" So she asked the question, "How?" And I'm gonna search it back. She asked the question, "How would you deal with trust issues within the team?"
Well, I haven't really encountered any, but as a coach to player, I have encountered them, because people didn't know me, so why should they trust me? But I didn't really have to handle them. They went away automatically, because I was showing that I was doing my job right, and people started trusting me as a nature. They just started trusting me on their own. I didn't really have to do anything besides doing my job correctly, and just generally being a nice guy. I think your personality makes up for the points that you drop in as a coach on the theoretical side. Being a nice guy kind of wimps it off and just says, "Yeah, he's a nice guy." I mean, can't do anything about that. And I think that's the main point about it. Really never experienced trust issues within a team. But that's, I guess, what I have to say about trust issues. Just be the best version of yourself. Focus on doing your job right, and it'll clear up. But
Hmm.
I'm really honest about this, and I never experienced it on a serious level, that it didn't disappear after a few sessions or scrims.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. I believe that is good, and maybe in later stages it will be. You never know. I think a lot of it maybe that you haven't experienced it yet has to do with that you feel like, yeah, I'm a nice guy. I'm at home with who I am for myself, and what you also say a couple of times, I'm just like honest, like just like I'm just me, and you're very pure. That's what I can see, that's what I can tell, at least that's what my senses tell. So I believe that is also a good starting point, that you don't try to be someone else, and that you, let's say, be critical on yourself, but not too hard on yourself and others. So that really maybe connects better with the players that you've played with right now. And then I think that's a beautiful thing. So if you want to overcome, let's say, trust issues, that's what you're saying: be yourself, be nice, and just try to connect with them and be who you are. Is that basically somewhat of a summary what
Yeah,
you're saying?
basically, yeah. It's really hard to explain what I haven't experienced yet, so I really don't have a better explanation. Just try and hold on to that, I guess.
All right. So I also want to ask you for to formulate a question for the next guest on this podcast, and it's a familiar person for you. It's Arcanic,
Yep.
Mickey. Uh, what question do you have for him?
Well, I want to ask him how he handles a stronger personality, even arrogant, if you will. How you would handle that within the team?
Interesting.
That's a spicy question. That, I think that's a spicy question. It's gonna
I
be a fun
believe
one
so
to
as
answer.
well. Yeah, in throughout esports history, we all know the big names that are a bit more, let's say, more hard to deal with, or ego oriented, or they're very
Yep.
dominant in their presence. How do you handle with such behavior? Because no matter if you're in professional league or in the amateur league, we all, not always, but there are also people that are more dominant, and yeah, we have to work with them as well, because they might have a lot of talent, but how do you, let's say, handle that position? So I think that
Exactly.
is a great question for Arcanic to answer in the fourth episode. So yeah, beautifully. So if other people have, let's say, questions or stories to share with you, or maybe you inspire them and they want to say thank you, where can they find you on your social media channels,
Uh,
Jorben?
especially on Twitter, that's at Sonic EUW, or
Yeah.
Discord, that's Sonic hashtag 2464. So if you have any questions or have something to tell me, just hook me up in the DMs there, and you'll get an answer whenever I see it.
Well, perfect. I will be sure to put all your social media handles and a beautiful picture as well of you in the description below, so people be sure to find you, and then all the good messages will come into your way.
All right.
So, and that is it, guys, for the third Next Level Esport podcast. Episode 3 is a wrap. The number one podcast for esports coaches and team development, to help you and your team reaching that next level by getting the people side of esports right. If you like this episode, let us know and spread the word. Like, share, and subscribe, of course. If you want more information or things to learn, you can go to the Next Level Esport Discord, or go to the Next Level Esports YouTube channel for more content. Find us as well on Twitter at next lower dash L lower dash esports. Once again, let us know what you think of this episode, and thank you so much, Yorben Colle, as a guest today. And
Thank you
for
for having
you,
me.
yeah, you're welcome. And for everyone that is listening right now, I hope that you are also tuned in for the next podcast. Thank you all so much for listening, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.